Welcome back to another Wisco Sports Central podcast. Talking a little bit, finishing off the first round of playoffs for football in Wisconsin. Obviously, the first part we only got through 1 and 2. Obviously, we're getting a little bit in depth with the matchups. Today, we're going to be finishing off Division 3 through Division 7. Today, I will be your host, Connor, because Matt is actually a little bit under the weather, so he went right to bed after practice tonight, so it'll just be me finishing off the last few divisions. So here we go. First, starting in Division 3 in Section 1, we have number 1 Grafton against number 8 Medford. Medford is 3-6 on the year. Grafton is 9-0. So Medford lost last year in Level 3 to La Crosse Logan, 51-48. So very close game for them. Going for another chance to get back into the big dance. 51-48, very close game. Grafton lost also in division or level 3 to the defending state champs, Notre Dame, 28-6. So obviously Notre Dame last year had a stud running back, very good team there, so that was a good game. Obviously Notre Dame's now in Division 2 this year, but my prediction for this game, I think Grafton has been steamrolling a lot of teams. I think they're just going to keep that moving. I think they're going to go for a big run into the playoffs this year, so I'm going to be taking Grafton on that first game. Next game, we have number 5 Lakeland heading to number 4 Merrill. Lakeland is 5-4 on the year, and Merrill is 6-3. Lakeland lost in Level 1 to Medford last year, 28-7. Merrill lost in Level 1 to Onalaska, 13-8. So very close game for them. Obviously round 1. Obviously both teams lost in round 1 last year, so obviously one team is going to have to make it on to Level 2, so that's awesome to see there. Merrill beat Lakeland in Week 5, 34-14. So obviously earlier in the year, halfway through the year, some teams are still figuring out stuff. Obviously it was 20-point difference there, but I think I'm going to be taking Merrill on this game as well. Obviously Merrill, they're the home team. Not a lot of times you see the lower seed team beat the upper seed. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but I think I will be taking Merrill on this one. Moving on to the third matchup, we have number 6 Fox Valley Lutheran, 6-3 on the year, at number 3 Luxembourg Casco. We'll scroll that down a little bit. So Fox Valley Lutheran lost in Level 2 to Medford last year, 42-22, and Luxembourg Casco lost in Level 1 to Plymouth, 49-21. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. Luxembourg Casco has seemed to be a very good team this year. I think if they keep that rolling, they have a chance also to go very far. So I'm going to be taking Luxembourg Casco in this one. Moving on to the last game in this section, we have number 7 Marinette, 6-3 on the year, at number 2 Plymouth, 9-0. Plymouth is a very good team. Obviously, last year Marinette did not make the playoffs, and Plymouth lost in Level 2 to Grafton, a very good Grafton team last year, 31-21. Obviously, Plymouth 9-0. They'll be the home team for a lot of the games as the second seed. I think I'm going to be taking Plymouth in this one. Plymouth to take care of Marinette. I think it's going to be a pretty big difference in this one. I think Plymouth will win by a good 30-40 points. They also do not have their quarterback as well, so it's going to be a very run-heavy attack by Plymouth. But I think, obviously, when you get to playoff football, running it is way easier, obviously, in the cold. So I think Plymouth is going to handle this one very easy for them. Moving on to Section 2, we have number 1 Catholic Memorial, 8-1 on the year, at number 8 Jefferson, 5-4. Jefferson did not make the playoffs last year. Catholic Memorial was state runner-up, losing to Notre Dame. That very good running back, 49-28. Coming into this game, I think I'm going to be taking Catholic Memorial. Catholic Memorial just seems to be one of those teams that is just consistently good year in and year out, so I think they're going to make another run, maybe at the title again this year. Obviously, they don't have to worry about Notre Dame this year, so maybe it's this year to take the trophy home. So I'm going to be taking Catholic Memorial in this one. I think it's going to be a pretty lopsided game in this one as well. Number 5, Wisconsin Lutheran, 6-3 on the year, at number 4 La Crosse Logan, also 6-3. So both 6-3 teams, obviously 4 and 5, interchangeable for that one. Wisconsin Lutheran lost in Level 4 to Catholic Memorial last year, 31-14. La Crosse Logan lost in Level 4 to Notre Dame, 41-21. So obviously La Crosse Logan had a very good shot. They lost just before going to state, so they're just in that last game, lost to a very good Notre Dame team. So I think they're coming back this year to get ready for it as well. Both teams were one game away from state last year, so both teams were very short. Obviously, both those teams, Catholic Memorial and Notre Dame, were in the title game together, so they were both that close. But in this game, I think I'm going to be taking La Crosse Logan. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a shootout of a game, in my opinion. I'm taking La Crosse Logan although in this one. Moving on to that next game, we have number 6 Burlington, 5-4 on the year, at number 3 New Berlin Eisenhower, also 5-4 on the year. Burlington lost in level 1 to Racine Horlick last year, 28-14. New Berlin Eisenhower lost in level 1 to Catholic Memorial, obviously the state runner-up, 42-6. Obviously, like before I said, both teams lost in level 1, so they have a chance. One team is going to at least make it to level 2, so that's awesome to see for them. I think it's going to be a close game again. I think I'm going to be taking New Berlin Eisenhower in this game. They're going to pull it off with the win. Moving to the last team in this section, we got a haul of a travel too, it looks like. We have number 7 Wausau East, 4-5 on the year, at number 2 Mount Horeb, 7-2. I think that's like a, 3.5, 4 hour ride for them. So that's gonna be a haul going down. 94? One of those not close geographic locations. So obviously they're gonna have a haul there. Wausau East lost in level 1 to Fox Valley Lutheran last year. Very close game, shootout of a game, 44-41. So looking come back this year and maybe make a change for that, make it to level 2 or even farther. Mount Horeb lost in level 3 to the defending runner-ups of Division 3 Catholic Memorial, 17-14, very close game. Mount Horeb is a great team. They have a great running back, great quarterback. They got solid O-line. They're a great team. I think Catholic Memorial is going to, or not Catholic Memorial, sorry. I think Mount Horeb is going to be making a very big run this year, maybe even taking down the number 1 Catholic Memorial to go to level 4. I think it's going to be a great game if they make it that far. Obviously, I'm going to be taking Mount Horeb in this one. Moving on to Section 3, we have number 8 Rhinelander, 3-6 on the year, traveling to Edgewood, 8-1. That is another haul of a drive. I believe that's another 3.5, 4 hours maybe there as well. Rhinelander did not make the playoffs last year, making in this year, so good for them. Edgewood lost in level 1 to a very good Aquinas team, 14-10. Aquinas seems to be a team that's just always making the dance or getting very close every year, so see that they lost in level 1. I think with them being a 1 seed this year now, they're going to be coming back for revenge, so I'm going to be taking Edgewood in this game. I think it's going to be a very lopsided game, sadly to say, but Edgewood is a very good team, and I think they're going to be making a good run this year. Moving on to the next matchup, we have number 5 Waterford, 5-4 on the year, at number 4 Reedsburg, 6-3. Waterford lost in level 2 last year to Mount Horeb, 35-14. Reedsburg lost in level 2 to Catholic Memorial, 34-33. So 1 point difference, very close. I think Reedsburg's going to be coming back, try getting it back this year. I think I'm going to be taking Reedsburg in this game. It might be a close game, I think, but Reedsburg is definitely going to pull it out, obviously, with last year losing by 1 point to the runner-ups of the state game last year. Moving on to that third matchup, we have number 6 Pewaukee, 4-5 on the year, at number 3 Sauk Prairie, 7-2. Pewaukee lost in level 1 to the defending state champs Notre Dame, 50-7. So kind of a blowout game there. Pewaukee seems to be a team, though, that they still have a great team. They're in a pretty tough conference. I think it's going to be a good game for them, but Sauk Prairie lost in level 1 to Mount Horeb, 36-6. So it seems like a lot of these teams in this division, or this section, lost to either Mount Horeb, Notre Dame, or Catholic Memorial. So 36-6. Obviously, it's going to be a very close game. I think Sauk Prairie is going to pull it out. They seem to be a team that has a really defense that just like blitz everybody, or like a very strong defense. So I think they're going to pull it out in this one. It's going to be a close game, but I think Sauk Prairie is going to take it and move on to the next round. And closing off the last game in this section, we have number 7 Menominee, 4-5 on the year, at number 2 Onalaska, 7-2. Last year in the playoffs, Menominee lost in level 1 to Monona Grove, a great consistent team, 34-31. So very close game there. Onalaska lost in level 2 to La Crosse Logan 42-6. Onalaska's trying to get it back, obviously being a 2 seed this year. Very good for them there. Menominee, I know, is a very heavy run offense, so that could be good in the playoffs here, obviously with the cold weather. So if Onalaska can stop that run game, I think Onalaska's got a great chance here. I think I'm going to be taking Onalaska in this game. I feel it's going to be kind of lopsided. Obviously, it's kind of close. I think Menominee and Onalaska are about an hour, roughly. I want to say an hour or 2 hours, maybe, hour and a half. So it might be a big turnout for the Menominee side, but I think I'm going to be taking Onalaska in this one. Moving on to the last section in Division 3, we got number 8, Whitefish Bay, 3-6 on the year, at number 1, New Berlin West, 7-2. Whitefish Bay lost in level 1 to Port Washington last year, 27-21. New Berlin West lost in level 3 to Wisconsin Lutheran, 23-14. Obviously, you don't really see many times that an 8 seed beats a 1 seed, and I don't think it's going to change in this one. I'm going to be taking New Berlin West in kind of a lopsided game here. Moving on to the next game, we have number 5, Port Washington, heading to number 4, Milwaukee, Washington. Both teams are 6-3 on the year. It seems to be always those 5 and 4 seeds. They're always a toss-up of a game. Port Washington lost in level 2 to Notre Dame, the defending state champs, last year, 35-13. Milwaukee, Washington lost in level 1 to Martin Luther, 48-0. I feel like this might be a kind of a close game, but I think I'm going to be taking Port Washington, so I'm going to be taking actually the higher seed in this one, Port Washington, to pull off and move on to the next round. Moving on to the third game, we have number 3, Martin Luther, 6-3 on the year, at number 6, PS, 5-4. PS lost in level 1 to New Berlin West last year, 42-0, getting shut out in the first round of the playoffs, which is not obviously a good sign. But I think this year they might have a chance to turn it around. Versus Martin Luther lost in the level 2 to Wisconsin Lutheran, 34-14. I think this might be a great game. Obviously the records are kind of close. I think I'm going to be taking PS in this game. Obviously another higher seed. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think PS is going to move on in the end. And then closing off the last game in this section, we have number 7, McFarland, 4-5 on the year, at number 2, Whitnall, 8-1. McFarland did not make the playoffs last year, and Whitnall lost in level 1 to Reedsburg, 62-48. So that is an absolute shootout of a game. Obviously, they're coming back for revenge this year. Whitnall's in a very good conference too. Obviously, they've been a pretty good team in the past as well, so I think I'm going to be taking Whitnall in this one. 28 out of the 32 teams returned to the playoffs this year. 4 new teams making the playoffs, so good for them. Obviously getting a chance to move on and see how far they can make it in the playoffs. Last year, D3 champion Notre Dame moved up to D2. So this year we're going to have a new Division 3 state champion, so we'll see who that is. Moving on to Division 4. So here we go, going to Division 4. We have number 1 Aquinas at home, 9-0 on the year, against number 8 Amory, 4-5. Amory did not make the playoffs last year, and Aquinas lost in level 4 to Racine St. Catherine's, 12-6. So a very low game. And I said this before, Aquinas is a great team. They seem to be a team that makes it either very far in the playoffs or make it to the dance at Camp Randall every single year. So I think this is going to be another year that they're going to make it pretty far. So I'm going to be taking Aquinas in this game. I feel like Aquinas might handle business pretty easily in this game. Moving on to the next game, we have number 5 Ellsworth, 5-4 on the year, at number 4 Osceola, 6-3. Ellsworth lost in level 2 to Baldwin Woodville, 42-7 last year. Osceola did not make the playoffs last year, and Osceola also beat Ellsworth in week 9, 31-20. So if you're looking at that, week 9 was last week, so that means they're playing each other back to back. Obviously, it was kind of a close game, 11-point difference, 31-20, Osceola. I think I'm going to be taking Osceola again in this one. Obviously, they got the home field advantage. They're going off a win against them last week. So obviously, they're not going to change much, but maybe Ellsworth changes up a little bit and comes back and maybe handles it. But I think I'm going to be taking Osceola in this game. Moving on to the third game, we have Lodi, 5-4 on the year as the third seed against number 6 Platteville 5-4 on the year. Sorry, Lodi 7-2 on the year. Platteville is 5-4 on the year. Platteville lost in level 1 to West Salem last year 30-27, so a very close game. Obviously, they're going to come back this year, maybe hope to do a little bit better than they did last year. Close game for them. And Lodi lost in level 2 to Aquinas 29-0. Obviously, that Aquinas team made it to the game just before state, so they had a great team last year. Lodi is coming back to hopefully make a run this year. I'm going to be taking Lodi in this game. I think they're going to handle business pretty well. Lodi seems to be one of those teams that is very consistent. They're always doing pretty well in the playoffs to regular season, so I think they're going to be a team to do some damage in the playoffs this year. And then moving on to that last game in this section, we have number 7 Ashland 5-4 on the year at number 2 Baldwin Woodville is 9-0. So great season for them. Obviously they're 9-0 on the year, so is Aquinas, so it's a close between them two, but both teams 9-0, but Baldwin Woodville 9-0 on the year, good for them. Ashland did not make the playoffs last year, so this is obviously a new team then for them, so they made the playoffs, good for them. And Baldwin Woodville was a state runner-up, losing to Racine St. Catherine's 26-22. So a very close game. Baldwin also seems to be one of those teams, and not only for just football. We played them in hockey too, and they were always a very good team. So just good job at that program there, being very consistent. I'm going to be taking Baldwin Woodville in this matchup. I think it's going to be a pretty easy win for Baldwin Woodville. I think they're going to do some damage as well. Obviously, next game they'll have to play either the winner of Lodi or Platteville, whoever wins this Baldwin game, but I feel like Baldwin can make a run as well. Moving on to that next section, we have number 8 Milwaukee North 3-5 on the year at number 1 Winneconne 9-0. So great season for them, obviously winning the whole year, winning conference, so good for them. We have Milwaukee North lost in level 1 to Grafton, a great team last year, and that was in Division 3. Obviously now they're in Division 4 this year, but lost in level 1 48-0 to a great Grafton team last year. Winneconne lost in level 4 to Baldwin Woodville 40-16, so that was to go to state. Baldwin Woodville making it to state last year, so good for them. But Winneconne 9-0, great season this year. I think they're going to do some damage in this section, so I'm going to be taking Winneconne in this game. Moving on to the next game, we have number 5 Seymour 7-2 on the year at number 4 Altoona 7-2 as well. So both teams 7-2 on the year, good for them. Seymour lost in level 1 to Prescott 46-30 last year in the playoffs, so that was a high scoring game for both of them. Altoona did not make the playoffs last year, so making the playoffs with a 7-2 record, great job for them. I feel like this is going to be another toss-up of a game. Obviously, 5 and 4 seed, both 7-2 on the year, so good for them. But I'm going to be taking Altoona in this one. I think that home field advantage is going to help them pull it away in this one. Moving on to the third matchup, we have number 6 Wrightstown 6-3 on the year at number 3 Oconto Falls 8-1. Great season for them. Wrightstown was state runner-up, losing in Division 5, losing to Stratford. Stratford is an absolute powerhouse in Division 5. It seems every year they're just very consistent. They're always up there making it to the dance in Camp Randall. So obviously that was a great team they lost to. So runner-up 21-6. Oconto Falls lost in level 1 to Baldwin Woodville 58-21. Obviously Oconto Falls with a great season this year, 8-1. I think I'm going to be taking Oconto Falls in this game to pull away with the win. In the last game in this section, we have number 7 Kettle Moraine Lutheran 4-5 on the year at number 2 Freedom 8-1. So another great season for Freedom there, 8-1. Kettle Moraine lost in level 1 to Delavan Darien 28-25. So a very close game. Kettle Moraine's hoping to have a run at it this year, maybe change it up rather than losing in the first round. And Freedom lost in level 3 to Baldwin Woodville 48-35. So a shootout of a game. Obviously came up just short. I think I'm going to be taking Freedom in this game as well. Freedom to obviously with their great season, 8-1. Kettle Moraine Lutheran is a triple option team, so if they can just stop that, I think they're going to be perfectly fine this one. Moving on to Section 3. We have number 8 Brown Deer 2-7 on the year, so they must have had some very crucial wins in there to bump them into the playoffs. 2-7 at number 1 Columbus 8-1 on the year. Brown Deer did not make the playoffs last year, so good job for them making it this year. Columbus lost in a very, very close game in Level 3 to Aquinas last year, 29-28. Columbus just seems to be a team that's always making a run. It's either Columbus or Aquinas, I feel like, every single year. So obviously Columbus is not in the same section as them this year, so maybe they just meet at Camp Randall, so that'd be cool for them. But I think I'm going to be taking Columbus in this one. I know they're a very run-heavy team. They've always been a run-heavy team, especially with their running backs in the past few years, but I'm going to be taking Columbus in this one. Next game, we got number 5, Delavan Darien, 6-3 on the year, at number 4, Waupun, 8-1. 8-1 season for Waupun, great season for them. Getting the 4 seed. We got Delavan Darien lost in Level 2 to Racine St. Catherine's, 54-0. Obviously, this year they're going to want to try changing that around. And Waupun lost in Level 1 to Mayville, 42-6 last year. This game, I feel like it's going to be a very good game. If Waupun can get their passing game, it'll be looking good for them. But I think I'm going to be taking Delavan Darien in this game. Very close game. I feel it's going to be a shootout of a game. But I'm going to be taking Delavan Darien in the end. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6, Shoreland Lutheran, 5-4 on the year, at number 3, Evansville, 8-1. Last year in the playoffs, Shoreland Lutheran lost in Level 1 to Racine St. Catherine's, 44-6. And Evansville lost in Level 2 to Lake Mills, 49-12. Lake Mills always seems to be a team, too, that's very consistent, so great team there. Obviously, Evansville wants to turn it around for this year. I'm going to be taking Evansville in this game. And then the last game in this section, we have number 7, Turner, 4-5 on the year, at number 2, Mosinee, 7-2. Turner did not make the playoffs last year, so they're going to be changing it up this year. Obviously, a 7th seed, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I think they still have a chance. And Mosinee lost in Level 1 to Ellsworth, 28-21, so a close game for them. Obviously, Mosinee with a 2nd seed this year, they're trying to do some damage. I'm going to be taking Mosinee in this game. And then here we go, moving on to the last section. We have number 8, St. Francis, 4-5 on the year, at number 1, Racine St. Catherine's, 8-1. Last year, St. Francis lost in Level 1 to Lake Mills, a great Lake Mills team, 57-6. So a great team, obviously, there at Lake Mills. St. Francis hoping to maybe change it around for this year and make it moving on to the second round. Obviously, 8 seeds versus 1 seeds. You don't really see many upsets there, but they still could have a chance. And then Racine St. Catherine's returning state champions, beating Baldwin Woodville 26-22, a very close game. So they got a chip on their shoulder, trying to run it back for back-to-back years. So, I mean, they got a tough path, but I could see them making it back to the big dance again this year. Second game, we got number 5, Edgerton, 6-3 on the year, at number 4, Lake Mills, 7-2. Obviously, Lake Mills last year was a great team. This year's a little bit different, still making the playoffs, so good for them. Number 4 seed. Edgerton lost in Level 1 to Evansville, 21-0 last year, so they're coming in here hoping to change around this year. And then Lake Mills lost in Level 3 to Racine St. Catherine's, 19-14. I feel like Lake Mills is just the better team here. They're just going to pull off the win. They got a great quarterback, great running back. I think Lake Mills is going to win this one. Moving on to the third game in this section, we have number 6, West Salem, 7-2 on the year, at number 3, Berlin, 8-1. So obviously you're like a 6 seed, 7-2. That's just very strange, but it's just how this division works. I guess West Salem lost in Level 2 last year to Columbus, a great Columbus team, 41-27. Berlin lost in Level 2 to Mayville, 28-26. So a very close game. Berlin's a great team. I feel like they got a lot of great things going for them this year. Obviously a 3 seed, 8-1. But I feel like this is a 3 seed that can do some damage. So I'm going to be taking Berlin kind of by a lot in this game. Berlin, I think, has a chance to make a good run here. And closing off the last game in Division 4, we have number 7, Ripon, 6-3 on the year, at number 2, Little Chute, 8-1. So last year Ripon did not make the playoffs, but this year obviously made it in a 7 seed, 6-3. So great season for them. Little Chute lost in Level 1 to Xavier, 21-14. Obviously, Little Chute being a 2nd seed this year, hoping to do some damage. Ripon with, I believe, the running back with the most rushing yards on the year. So great for them. Hopefully they get that rushing game going again for this game. But I think I'm going to be taking a little shoot in this game to pull it off. So a little shoot by quite a bit. New teams making the playoffs this year: Amory, Osceola, Ashland, Altoona, Brown Deer, and Turner. And then from Division 3 to Division 4 and Division 5 to Division 4, we have Milwaukee North coming from D3 to D4 now, and then Wrightstown from D5 down to D4. Last year's state champs, we have Racine St. Catharines, and last year's runner-up was Baldwin Woodville. Go on to the next division. Before we start off, too, obviously being from Wisconsin, bubblers are one of my favorite drinks. Obviously, it's one of the main things I drink outside of water, so bubblers, just a little bit of shout out, even though we're not getting anything from it, but bubblers are a go-to. And we also have a live update from the Thursday night football game. We have Chargers 14, the Vikings are 3. But here we go, going on to Division 5. And I believe this is actually the farthest game right here for travel-wise. So obviously, there's a few games that are 3 hours, 4 hours, but looking up the stats for it, Grantsburg and Laconia. Laconia has to travel all the way to Grantsburg. I believe it's 4 hours and 58 minutes, so obviously basically 5 hours. So that's quite the haul for them. But number 8, Laconia, 2-7 on the year, so making the playoffs with 2-7. Must have had 2 very crucial wins there to sneak in, but at number 1, Grantsburg, 9-0 on the year. Laconia did not make the playoffs last year, but Grantsburg was a state runner-up, losing to Elmira 26-19. This was in Division 6, so now they're getting bumped up to Division 5 and still becoming a 9-0 team in a 1 seed. That's just great for Grantsburg there. I think Grantsburg is going to handle business pretty well here. I feel like it's going to be kind of a blowout. I'm going to be taking Grantsburg by about 50 in this game. Grantsburg is a great team, even coming from D6, now doing the same damage, I believe, in Division 5. Moving on to that next game, we have number 5, Durand, Arkansas, 6-3 on the year at number 4, River Valley, also 6-3. So one of those tight, close games there, 5 and 4 seeds, the same record. Durant, Arkansas did not make the playoffs last year, and so did River Valley. Neither team made the playoffs last year, so it's one of those games where if you win it, you're moving on to level 2. So one team's at least going to make it to level 2 that was not in the playoffs last year. So good for them. In this game, I think it's going to be a very close game, but I'm going to be taking River Valley to pull it off in the end in this one. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6, Barron, 6-3 on the year at number 3, St. Croix Falls, 7-2. So it's going to be a very close game here. Barron lost in level 1 to Wittenberg Burnenwood 48-0. St. Croix lost in level 3 to Northwestern 20-8 last year. St. Croix Falls beat Barron in week 8 38-20, so that was 2 weeks ago. So kind of a close game. I think St. Croix Falls is going to pull it off again in this one. Obviously beating them 2 weeks ago, I think St. Croix Falls is going to handle again this week. Closing off the last game in this section, we have number 7, Prescott, 3-6 on the year at number 2, Northwestern at 9-0. Great season for Northwestern this year, obviously undefeated, winning conference. Prescott lost in level 2 to Freedom last year, 43-14. This was in Division 4, so obviously Prescott now got bumped to Division 5 this year. Northwestern lost in level 4 to Wrightstown, 47-16. Obviously level 4, that is to go to state. And losing to a team by 31 points, going to state, that just shows you how great of a team Wrightstown is. Wrightstown just seems a team that's always consistent, always making it to a good run. So obviously Wrightstown's a great team, but Northwestern, Northwestern beat Prescott in week 1. Obviously week 1, you can't really go much off of week 1 because that was so long ago. Teams are still figuring stuff out even after those scrimmages, but 40-7 there. I think Northwestern's going to handle business quite easily here as well. Obviously 9-0, great season for them. Hope they can keep that going into the playoffs as well. So I'm taking Northwestern in this game. Moving on to Section 2, we have number 8, Amro, 3-6 on the year at number 1, Tomahawk, 8-1. So great season for Tomahawk, only losing 1 game. Amro did not make playoffs last year, but obviously snuck in with an 8 seed, so Good job for them making a playoff appearance this year. Tomahawk also did not make the playoffs last year, and then coming into this year being a number 1 seed, that is just awesome for them. Hope they can keep that going. I think Tomahawk's going to handle this one pretty easy as well. Moving on to that next game, we have number 5, Spencer Columbus Catholic, 5-4 on the year at number 4, New Holstein, 6-3. Spencer Columbus Catholic did not make playoffs last year, so sneaking in this year with a 5 seed, 5-4 record. Good job for them. New Holstein lost in level 1 to Southern Door, 24-7. I feel like it's going to be a very close game. Obviously, I say that with a lot of the 5-4 seeds. I think I'm going to be taking New Holstein in this game, though, to pull it off in the end. Moving on to that third matchup, we have number 6, Westfield, 6-3 on the year, at number 3, Prairie du Chien, also 6-3. Prairie du Chien also seems like one of those teams that's just very consistent in the playoffs, making good runs, so I feel like they're going to be pulling it off in this one. I'm taking Prairie du Chien over Westfield in kind of a lopsided game. Closing off for this section, we have number 7, Richland Center, 4-5 on the year, at number 2, Stratford, 7-2. Stratford's just one of those teams as well, always consistently good, making runs every year. Richland Center lost in level 1 to Darlington, 42-14. Darlington is another team in this division you just see very consistent, 42-14 there. Trying to change it around for this season, but Stratford won state, beating Wrightstown last year, 21-6. So Wrightstown, Stratford, those are those teams that are just always there. So it's going to be a tough task, I think, for Richland Center. I'm going to be taking Stratford in this one. Moving over to Section 3. We have number 8, Chilton, 3-6 on the year, at number 1, Mayville, 9-0. Chilton did not make the playoffs last year, so good job for them making it playoffs this year. Mayville lost in level 3 to Winneconne, 20-10 in Division 4. So now Mayville got bumped back in Division 5. I believe, what was that, 4 years ago? I think Mayville was in Division 5, and then they got bumped down to Division 4, so now obviously getting bumped back in Division 5 this year. Mayville, I feel like, is going to be making a great run this year. Obviously 9-0 on the year. Mayville is just a team that's always consistent. And also, too, fun fact, my dad actually grew up in Mayville, so I know that they've been a very consistent team as well. So Mayville's just, I feel like Mayville's going to be making a big run this year. Moving on to the next game, number 5, Arcadia, 7-2 on the year, at number 4, Wisconsin Lutheran. I think, no, Winnebago Lutheran. I said that before. But Winnebago Lutheran, 6-3 on the year. So it's kind of weird seeing a 6-3 is a lower seed than a 7-2 team. Obviously, it goes off, like I said in the last podcast, it goes off the teams you beat, not necessarily how many wins you have. So you could be 9-0, but if you beat teams that no team was over 500, you're not going to get as high of a thing as some team that beat 6 teams only, but maybe they beat 6 teams that were all over 80% win rate. So obviously, that's why Winnebago Lutheran got this over them. Arcadia lost in level 1 to Columbus last year, 52-0. Obviously, Columbus last year was a very good team. Winnebago Lutheran lost in level 2 to Lake County Lutheran, 35-0. So obviously, Winnebago Lutheran coming back, trying to make more damage than they did last year. Obviously, losing in a shutout game to Lake County, or Lake Country Lutheran. I think I'm going to be taking Winnebago Lutheran in this game. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6, Watertown Lutheran Prep, 4-5 on the year, at number 3, Brilliant, 7-2. Watertown Lutheran Prep lost in level 1 to Lake Country Lutheran, 42-6 last year. Brilliant lost in level 1 to Kewanee, 35-0. I feel like it might be a close game in this one, but I'm going to be taking Brilliant over Watertown Lutheran Prep. Closing off the last game in this section, we have number 7, Lancaster, at number 2, Amherst, 8-1. Lancaster is 4-5 on the year. Lancaster lost in level 3 to Belleville, 35-32 in D6. So a very close game in level 3. Lancaster, obviously with a 7 seed this year, is a little bit different, but I still feel like they could do some damage this year. Amherst lost in level 2 to Stratford. So obviously Stratford was, they won it last year, so great team there. Obviously, it's not much to say about that. I mean, just a team that won it last year is kind of hard to say. Maybe if you beat them, would you have been in the dance? You don't know. It's hard to say, but lost to Stratford last year, 28-7. This game, I'm going to be very comfortable saying I think I'm going to be taking Amherst in this one. Amherst to do some damage in this section. And then moving on to that last section for Division 5, we have number 8 Kiel 3-6 on the year at number 1 Lake Country Lutheran 8-1. So great season for Lake Country Lutheran, getting the 1 seed, playing an 8 seed, so it's always a good start for them. Kiel lost in level 3 to Wrightstown 21-20, so a very close game last year. Obviously Wrightstown was a runner-up last year. 21-20, so if it was 2 points different, they would have maybe been in the dance with Stratford. Maybe they could have had a chance at a title. Obviously this year, a little bit different. 8 seed, 3-6, maybe they could still do some damage in the playoffs. It's obviously, regular season doesn't matter. If you make it to the playoffs, anything can happen, so maybe they have a big upset here. Kiel could, but I'm going to be taking Lake Country Lutheran in this one. Moving on to that next game, Wittenberg. Number 5, Wittenberg Burnenwood, 4-5 on the year at number 4, Brookfield Academy, 5-4. Wittenberg Burningwood lost in level 2 last year to St. Croix Falls, 21-20. So another very close game. Tough for them. Obviously this year they're coming back for revenge. Brookfield Academy lost in level 2 to Prairie du Chien, 56-0. So a blowout game there. Obviously that was last year. They're putting that behind them. Maybe this year they come back. I'm going to be taking Wittenberg Burningwood in this game. Obviously the opposing or the away team, but I feel like Wittenberg has a chance to do some damage again this year. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6 Clinton, 6-3 on the year at number 3 New Glarus, 8-1. Clinton did not make playoffs last year, so great for them with a pretty good season, 6-3, making the playoffs this year. New Glarus lost in level 1 to Milwaukee Academy of Science, 46-35. So kind of a shootout of a game there. New Glarus is a great team too. Obviously 8-1 on the year, getting that 3 seed, so good job for them. I'm gonna be taking New Glarus in this game. And closing off the last game in this Division 5, we have number 7 Milwaukee Science, 4-5 on the year at number 2 Racine Lutheran, 6-3. Milwaukee Academy of Science lost in level 3 to Prairie du Chien, 39-0. Seemed like that Prairie du Chien team last year was just very good, so beating a lot of teams in the playoffs, 39-0 there. Racine Lutheran lost in level 1 to Brookfield Academy, 31-28. Very close game. Obviously, they're trying to make a change around this year, maybe have a little bit of a run. Obviously, being a number 2 seed, good for them. Racine Lutheran beat Milwaukee Academy of Science in Week 5, 35-12. I feel like they're going to keep that going. Racine Lutheran, I'm taking in this game as well. New teams making the playoffs this year: Laconia, Chilton, Durant, Arkansas, River Valley, Tomahawk, Omro, Spencer, Columbus, Clinton, Grantsburg from Division 6 now to Division 5, Prescott from Division 4 to Division 5, Westfield from Division 6 to Division 5, Mayville from 4 to 5, Arcadia from 4 to 5, and Lancaster from 6 to Division 5. Last year's state champ was Stratford, and then runner-up was Wrightstown. Moving right into Division 6. Here we go. Starting this first section, we have number 8 Unity, 4-5 on the year at number 1 Regis, 9-0. Unity did not make playoffs last year, so good for them making it this year. 4-5, just under 500, but obviously there's a lot of teams that had worse records than that made playoffs, but good for Unity. Regis lost in level 3 to Grantsburg, 31-8 last year. So great season for Regis this year, 9-0, winning conference. I think Regis is going to do some damage in this Division 6 year, maybe having a chance to make it to Camp Randall this year. Next game, next matchup, we have number 5 Fall Creek, 6-3 on the year at number 4 Chedek Weyerhauser, 8-1. Sorry if I butchered that, I probably did, but I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. But 8-1 on the year. Fall Creek lost in level 1 to Regis, 29-28. Very close game. Chedek Weyerhauser lost also in level 1 to Grantsburg, 49-12. So one of these teams is at least going to make it to level 2 this year, so good for whoever wins this one. I'm going to be taking Fall Creek in this one. I feel like it's going to be a very close game. Obviously, Fall Creek is the away team here, but I'm going to be taking Fall Creek in a very close game in this one. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6 Marshall, 5-4 on the year at number 3 Bangor, 8-1. Marshall lost in level 2 to Belleville, 21-7. Bangor lost in level 2 to River Ridge 27-0. That was in Division 7 last year. Obviously this year they're in Division 6. Great job for them getting an 8 seeded this year and 8-1. So great job for Bangor. I'm going to be taking Bangor in this game. I feel it's going to be kind of a blowout, but Bangor I think is going to pull it off. Number 7, Abbotsford 6-3 on the year at number 2, Mondovi 8-1. Mondovi is another team that is just very consistently good every single year in and year out. Abbotsford lost in level 2 to Coleman 7-6. So that's either they must have missed a field goal or they went for 2 and they missed it. So a very tough loss for them last year. Mondovi lost in level 2 to Grantsburg 28-21. Very close game there too. I think I'm going to be taking Mondovi. Mondovi's going to be doing some damage, I think, in this one. So Mondovi moving on to the next round. Moving on to Section 2, we have number 8, Logan. Greenwood 4-5 on the year at number 1, Edgar 9-0. Great season for Edgar, winning conference there, 9-0. We have Loyal Greenwood, did not make the playoffs last year, so good job for them making it this year. Edgar won state, beating Potosi Cassville 19-0 in Division 7. Obviously getting bumped up to Division 6 this year, but still great job for them winning it last year. This game I'll be taking Edgar to pull it off. Obviously a 1 seed, I feel like they're going to do some damage. Even moving up to Division 6, I still feel like Edgar is going to be making some damage this year. So great job for them having a 9-0 season as well. Number 5, Howards Grove 4-5 on the year at number 4, Poynit 7-2. Howard Grove lost in level 2 to Cedar Grove, Belgium 48-13. Poynette lost in level 1 to Marshall 31-7. I feel it's going to be a very close game. Obviously 4 seed, 5th seed. I'm going to be taking Poynette in this one in a very tight matchup. Moving on to that third matchup, we have number 6, St. Mary Catholic 5-4 on the year at number 3, Bondul 7-2. St. Mary Catholic did not make the playoffs last year, but this year they turned it around. Bondul lost in level 4 to Grantsburg 34-29. So very close game for them. Obviously 1 win away from state, 5 points away from state. I feel like Bondul is going to keep it going this year. They're going to make a great run, so I'm going to be taking Bondul in this one. Moving on to the last matchup in this section, I have number 7, Marathon 4-5 on the year at number 2, Kewanee 8-1. Marathon did not make the playoffs last year, so made it this year with a 4-5 record. Good job for them, just under 500. And then Kewanee lost in level 2 to Kiel 42-7 in Division 5. Obviously getting bumped down to Division 6 this year. But I'm going to be taking Kewanee. I feel like they're going to do some damage in this playoffs too as well. I'm taking Kewanee by a lot in this one. Moving on to that third section. This is one of those teams that I feel like they're just always there too as well. But first starting off at number 8, Melrose Mindoro 5-4 on the year at number 1, Darlington 9-0. Darlington was the team I was referring to there. Darlington is a great team. Obviously last year they were in Division 5, getting bumped up to Division 6 this year, but Melrose Mindoro did not make the playoffs last year in Division 7. Now they got bumped up to 6, and they made playoffs, so great job for them. Just over 500 with 5-4 on the year. Darlington lost in level 2 to Milwaukee Academy School of Science 35-36. So just judging by that, 35, I'm guessing Milwaukee School of Science went for 2 to get 36 and barely brought it out in there. That was Division 5 matchup. Obviously Darlington's back in Division 6 here, trying to make some noise. I'm going to be taking Darlington by a lot in this one. Moving on to that second matchup, we have number 5, Mineral Point 5-4 on the year at number 4, Fenmore 6-3. Mineral Point lost in level 1 to Cuba City last year. Very tight game, 14-13. Mineral Point's back, obviously with 5-4, hoping to do some damage this year. Fenmore did not make the playoffs last year, so good job for them making it this year. Mineral Point beat Fenmore in Week 9, 39-36. One of those games that's very close. Usually I want to say I'll take the team that won, but with it being such a close game, I feel like Fenmore is going to turn something around, change up a little bit. Obviously being 3 points short, I'm going to be taking Fenmore in this one. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6, Crandon 5-4 on the year at number 3, Auburndale 8-1. Crandon lost in level 1 to Bondul 35-14 last year, and then Auburndale lost in level 2 to Bondul 34-21. So obviously both teams lost to Bondua last year, first round and second round. I'm going to be taking Auburndale to do some damage. 8-1, great year for them. I'm going to be taking Auburndale in this one. And then the last game in this section, we have number 7, Belleville, 4-5 on the year, at number 2, Marquezan, 9-0. Great season for Marquezan, 9-0 on the year. Belleville lost in level 4 to Lamira, 36-0 in level 4. So that means going to state. Or is that state? Nope, that's the game to go to state. So obviously, one win away. Shows us how good Lamira of a team was that last year, 36-0. And then Marquezan did not make the playoffs last year, so becoming from non-playoff team last year to being in the playoffs 9-0, number 2 seed, great for Marquezan. This game I'll be taking Marquezan, even though I feel like Belleville they're a very consistent team. Obviously last year's team is different from this year, so I'm going to be taking Marquezan in this one to close off this section. And then the last section in Division 6, we have number 1, Manitowoc Lutheran, 9-0 on the year, so great season for them, against number 8, Waterloo, 5-4. Waterloo did not make the playoffs last year, so making it this year, good job for them. Just over 500. Then Manitowoc Lutheran lost in level 2 to Lamira, 35-21. This game, I think I'm going to be taking Manitowoc Lutheran. Obviously 9-0, great season for them. I feel like they're going to keep that going into this playoff run. Going on to that next game, we have Wyawega Fremont, number 5, 5-4 on the year, at number 4, Cambridge, 7-2. Wyawega Fremont lost in level 1 to Coleman, 63-29 last year. So obviously last year was a different team. This year they're coming to hopefully do some damage this year. Again, and then we have Cambridge lost in level 1 to Belleville, 27-0. Obviously Belleville is a great team last year, 27-0. But I feel like it's going to be a very close game. I think I'm going to be taking Cambridge in this one, though. Cambridge pulled off, keep that 7-2 game season going into 8-2 to move on. Number 6, Lamira, 6-3 on the year, at number 3, St. Mary Springs, 6-3. Lamira won state, beating Grantsburg 26-19 last year. Obviously, this year's a little bit different of a team. St. Mary Springs lost in level 1 to Winnebago Lutheran, 21-20 in Division 5. This year they're hoping to come back and do some damage, obviously get farther than the first round. St. Mary Springs beat Lamira in week 4, 17-0. Obviously St. Mary Springs beat them 17-0 early in the year, 4th week, kind of different. I feel like Lamira's just got so much more experience making it pretty far. I'm going to be taking Lamira in this one. I think it's going to be a very close game, maybe like 2-point difference, 3-point difference, but I'm going to be taking Lamira in this one. And then closing off the last game in Division 6, we have number 7, Mishicot, 5-4 on the year, at number 2, Cedar Grove, Belgium, also 5-4. It's kind of weird seeing 7 seed and 2 seed being the same record, but obviously, like I said earlier, some teams might have just beat teams with better records than others. Mishicot lost in level 1 to Lamira last year, 46-0. Obviously, that Lamira team, one state, was a great team last year. Cedar Grove, Belgium, lost in level 3 to Lamira as well, 24-7. So obviously both of these teams lost to a great Lamira team last year. I think I'm going to be taking Cedar Grove, Belgium, though, to pull it off in this one to finish off Division 6 here. New teams making the playoffs: Unity, Loyal Greenwood, St. Mary Catholic, Marathon, Fenimore, Marquezan, Waterloo. And then new teams to Division 6, we have Bangor from Division 7 to 6, Edgar from 7 to 6, Kewanee from 5 to 6, Melrose Mindoro from 7 to 6, Darlington from 5 to 6, and St. Mary Springs from 5 to 6. Last year's state champ was Lamira, and last year's runner-up was Grantsburg. And then closing it off in the last division, Division 7. Oh, another touchdown. Ladd McConkey, we got 21-3 Chargers. So obviously that helps with my fantasy team and my parlays I like to put in, so that's going to help me out a lot. But here we go, moving into the last division. We have number 8, Assumption, 3-6 on the year, at number 1, Cochrane Fountain City, 9-0. So great year for them, winning obviously conference and having a 9-0 season. Assumption did not make the playoffs last year, but making it this year, so good job for them, 3-6 on the year. Cochrane Fountain City lost in level 2 to Potosi Caseville. That Potosi Caseville team was a very good team last year, obviously beating them 55-0. But I think I'm going to be taking this 1 seed in this matchup, Cochrane Fountain City, to pull it off against Assumption, and they might have a big run this year. Moving on to that next matchup, we have number 5, Glenwood City, 5-4 on the year, at number 4, Spring Valley, 5-4 as well. So those seeds, 5-4 seeds again with the same record. Glenwood City lost in level 2 to Spring Valley 27-10 last year. Spring Valley lost in level 3 to Boyceville 21-6. So both kind of close games for them. Glenwood City beat Spring Valley in week 8 27-7. So obviously that was 2 weeks ago. I think I'm going to be taking Spring Valley again in this one to beat Glenwood City. Obviously home team there, both 5-4, but I think I'm going to be taking Spring Valley in this one. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6, Turtle Lake, 6-3 on the year, at Pepin Alma, 8-1. Turtle Lake lost in level 1 to Boyceville 49-20 last year. Pepin Alma also lost in level 2 to the same team, Boyceville, 18-7. So it just shows how good of a team Boyceville was obviously last year. I'm going to be taking Pepin Alma in this game. Moving on to that last game in this section, we have number 7, Webster, 3-6 on the year, at number 2, Boyceville, 8-0. So great season for them, 8-0. Obviously they must have missed a game, but still undefeated, so props to them. Webster did not make playoffs last year, so good job for them making it in 3-6. Obviously it's not the closest record to 500 or over it, but still making it, so just beating those teams that they needed to beat. And then Boyceville lost in level 4 to Edgar, Toyota State, 21-20. So they were 2 points also away from making it to state. This game I'm going to be taking Boyceville. I think they're going to keep that 8-0 going into 9-0 and moving on far in the playoffs here. Here we go, moving on to that second section here. We have 8, Shiocton, 2-7 on the year, at number 1, Lords Academy, 9-0. Shiocton lost in level 2 to Edgar, 37-0. Obviously Edgar was a very good team last year. Lords Academy lost in level 3 to Edgar, 29-6. So that's the same team, very good Edgar team. I think I'm going to be taking Lords Academy. Obviously great season for them, 9-0. I think they're going to keep that going into this playoffs. Next game we have number 5, Eleva Strum, 6-3 on the year, at number 4, Blair Taylor, 6-3 as well. So both same thing again, 4 and 5 seeds, same records. Eleva Strum lost in level 1 to Pepin Alma, 37-0 last year. Blair Taylor lost in level 1 as well to Glenwood City, 40-25. Eleva Strum beat Blair Taylor in week 6, 59-34. So that seems like a shootout of a game there. I think it's going to be another shootout of a game. I think I'm going to be taking Elva Strum, though, to pull it off in this game, move on to the next round. Moving on to that third matchup, we have number 6, Ithaca, 5-4 on the year, at number 3, Wazeeka, Steuben, and Seneca, 7-2. Ithaca, I don't know if I'm butchering that, I probably am, but lost in level 2 to Johnson Creek, 31-21 last year. Wazeeka, Steuben, and Seneca lost also in level 2 to Cochrane Fountain City, 12-7. So very low scoring game there. Wazeeka, Steuben, and Seneca beat Ithaca in week 2, 43-14. Obviously it's kind of a lopsided game, but week 2 our team's still figuring it out. But I am gonna take Wazeeka, Steuben, and Seneca in this game as well. And then going to the last game in this section, we have number 7, Pittsville, 4-5 on the year, at number 2, Hilbert, 8-2. So obviously looking at that 8-2, how is that even possible? They must have an extra game in there as well. Instead of having one less, they had one more. Pittsville lost in level 1 to Edgar, a great Edgar team last year, 36-0. And then Hilbert lost in level 2 to Lords Academy, 35-27. So shootout of a game, very close game there. But I'm going to be taking Hilbert to keep their winning streak going on into the playoffs. Moving on to section 3. We have number 8, River Edge, 4-5 on the year, at number 1, Black Hawk Warren, 9-0. They had a great season this year, winning conference, winning Potosi Caseville to take conference. River Ridge lost in level 3 to Potosi Caseville last year, 21-14. Black Hawk Warren lost to Potosi Caseville in level 1, 7-6 last year. So the very close game there. Got the revenge this year. Black Hawk Warren beat River Ridge in week 3, 30-22. Obviously week 3 earlier in the season, but I think Black Hawk Warren is a great team. Going to keep that 9-0 streak going into playoffs. I'm taking Black Hawk Warren maybe to the big show this year. Moving on to that next game, we have number 5 Cashton, 6-3 on the year. At number 4 Brookwood, also 6-3. So same thing again. We have those same 6-3 records there. Cashton lost in level 1 to River Ridge last year with a big difference, 55-14. So obviously this year coming back, trying to change up a little bit this year. Brookwood did not make playoffs last year, so this year they're trying to do some damage as well. Obviously first year in playoffs. Brockwood beat Cashton in week 6, 15-8. So very close game there. I think Brookwood's going to take it again. Obviously having that little bit of home field advantage there. I'm taking Brookwood in this game. Moving on to that third game. We have number 6 Cambria and Friesland, 5-4 on the year. At number 3 Potosi Caseville, 8-1. Cambria Friesland lost in level 2 to Kenosha St. Joseph, 35-0. Potosi Caseville runner-up, losing to Edgar 19-0 in the state game there. Potosi Caseville, I think, is going to be winning this one by a long shot. Nothing against Cambria Friesland, but Potosi Caseville is still a great team. Even though they lost that one game to Black Hawk Warren, I still think they're a great team, and they can do some damage this year. Moving on to that last game in this section, we have number 7 Clear Lake, 4-5 on the year. At number 2 Johnson Creek, 8-1. Clear Lake did not make the playoffs last year, so good job for them making it this year with 4-5 record. Johnson Creek lost in level 3 to Kenosha St. Joseph last year. Going into this game, I think I'm going to be taking Johnson Creek, 8-1 obviously on the year, but I'm going to be taking Johnson Creek, but it's going to be a tough task next week, I think, if they make it against Potosi Caseville, but I think I'm going to be taking Johnson Creek in this one. Moving on to that last section, we have number 8 Palmyra Eagle, 3-5. At number 1 Kenosha St. Joseph, 9-0. Palmyra Eagle did not make the playoffs last year, so good job for them sneaking in this year as an 8 seed. Kenosha St. Joseph lost in level 4 to Potosi Caseville, 26-15. So great Potosi team last year. I feel like they're going to come back to do some damage this year. Obviously 9-0, great season for them, winning conference. I'm going to be taking Kenosha St. Joseph in this one. Moving on to that next game, we have number 5 Crivets, 6-3 on the year. At number 4 Reedsville, 4-5. So not Reedsburg, Reedsville. 4-5. Obviously 4-5 is a lower seed than a 6-3 5 seed, which is kind of weird, but like I said before, but Crivets lost in level 1 to Lourdes Academy, 23-21. Reedsville lost in level 1 to Manitowoc Lutheran, 14-7. This game I feel like it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to be taking Crivets in this one, but like I said, very close game. Moving on to that third game, we have number 6 Randolph, 4-5 on the year. At number 3 Coleman, 7-2. That's quite the haul there too. I think that's about 2.5 hour ride, 2.5, something like that. But Randolph lost in level 1 to Ithaca last year, 7-0. So very close game. Obviously, this I believe is the last year that Randolph is not going to be co-opted. So I think they're by themselves this year. So I think this is the year if they want to make a run by themselves, they got to do it. Because I believe they're co-oping with, who is that, Friesland Cambria next year? I think I saw something that they're all 3 of them are co-oping next year, and I believe they're like the Pirates or something. So this is Randolph's last year doing it by themselves. So I feel like Randolph is going to pull something out here, and they're going to come out with it. But Coleman lost in level 3 to Bondul, 15-13 in Division 6, a very close game. But I think Randolph is going to shock a lot of people, and I think Randolph's going to take this game over Coleman. So a big upset there, 6 seed versus a 3 seed. And then closing out the last game in Division 7, we have number 7 Royal, 4-5 on the year. At number 2 Roncalli, 7-2. So great season for them. Royal lost in level 1 to Johnson Creek last year. Very close game, 26-22. And Roncalli lost in level 1 to Shiocton, 20-13. I think Roncalli's going to take this game to close off Division 7 and move on to round 2. New teams making the playoffs this year: Assumption, Webster, Brookwood, Clear Lake, Palmyra Eagle. And then the one team that changed from Division 6 to Division 7 this year is Coleman. Last year's state champ was Edgar, now in Division 6. And then last year's state runner-up was Potosi Caseville. Obviously, Potosi Caseville is a great team. Edgar's also a very good team. But so, yep, there we go. Closing off Division 3 through Division 7. Thank you all for watching. Obviously, we'll keep you updated for next week, obviously with Level 2 and also with the stats. Make sure you're following on TikTok. We have Instagram, so make sure you're seeing it there. Obviously, this will be on YouTube and also Spotify, but Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.